Foreign Minister Ramtane Lamamra held further talks with Iraqi counterpart Al-Ashaiqer Al-Jaafari on finding ways to rebalance oil prices. Plus, the Algerian-European cooperation deal on exchanging merchandise is back to the economic scene. And later on in our news program, we take a look at the 5 candidates looking to turn FIFA around in Friday's election. Hello ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Dzair News Live and welcome to this English news edition. First, in our top stories, Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Ramtane Lamamra held today Thursday further talks with Iraqi counterpart Al-Ashaiqer Al-Jaafari, who is on an official visit to Algeria. The one-on-one talks, which took place at the headquarters of the Foreign Affairs Ministry, were extended to delegations of both countries. The two officials went on over the means likely to bolster the links of brotherhood and reinforce cooperation between the two countries. The two foreign ministers had discussed several issues of bilateral cooperation and prospects, the security, and on finding ways to rebalance oil prices. Minister for Maghreb Affairs, African Union and Arab League Abdelkader Messahel will take part in the works of the 3rd session of the Russian-Arab Cooperation Forum to be held in Moscow today, Thursday. This session will be opened by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Secretary General of the Arab League Nabil Al-Arabi. On the occasion of this meeting, attended by the foreign ministers of the Arab League member countries, a Russian-Arab Cooperation Action Plan for 2016-2018 is to be adopted. This session is an opportunity to discuss regional issues, crises affecting the Arab world, and the continuation and deepening of the dialogue between the Arab world and the Russian Federation. In business news now, the Algerian-European cooperation deal on exchanging merchandise is back to the scene, with Prime Minister Abdelmalek Saleh stressing on the necessity to review the articles of this particular agreement, which according to him constitute a burden on the national economy. Mustafa Azzok.
The Algerian-European cooperation file is back to the forefront after the Algerian customs refuted the claims suggesting that Algeria froze its commercial deal with the EU. According to experts, our country is certainly not satisfied with the course of its agreement with the European Union, which the latter has only served the interests of the European products at the expense of the locally sourced merchandise. The biggest bitter conclusion is the disappointment of Algeria in this agreement, which appeared to be trivial and without any fruitful results. In my humble opinion, the government is required first to hold an evaluation meeting under the supervision of the concerned ministries, including Trade Ministry, Finance Ministry, Industry Ministry, Agricultural Ministry, and even Health Ministry. They need to scrutinize the articles and terms of this contract one by one and their compliance with the Algerian and European laws. We can always do better. For this reason, we are now revising the contract based on results. To this effect, Prime Minister Abdelmalek Saleh stressed the necessity to review the articles of this particular agreement with the EU, which constitute a burden on the national economy. Instead of importing milky cows, we need to import cows for consumption. These are the contradictions. In the coming few months, we will review and discuss with the European Union some parts of the agreement related to the agricultural side. The locally sourced product is the sole victim of the agreement between Algeria and the European Union, and the government now is required to activate the new amended version of the agreement to protect the national product.
To another story now, the president of the Commerce and Industry Chamber in Biskra, Mr. Abdelmajid Khubzi, revealed that a date-based sugar processing plant will open its doors in the next few months. Mr. Khubzi added that the construction rate has reached a very advanced stage. The new facility would also help marketing locally sourced dates available in large quantities in the region, which sometimes prone to damage or sold in with a symbolic price that does not cover the cost of production, causing great losses to farmers, as happened during the last season. After the Algerian independence, many revolutionary archive files are still pending. They concern mainly the political files. To this effect, the FLN pro-government party is vowing to review all of these important files by creating committees which will review all of these secret files of our history. Siam Sado.
Decades after Algeria has taken its independence, some revolutionary archive files remain pending in the political scene. These secret files play a crucial role in the writing of history and solving political enigmatic equations. In this context, a former resistance fighter, soldier, politician, Abdelhamid Mehri, ex-member of the Algerian People's Party who died years ago, has already designed a committee to consider this file of archives and sort out complicated past issues.
في عهد الأخ عبد الحميد مهري ربي يرحمه.
In Abdelhamid Mehri's period, a committee has been created in favor of revolutionary archives files. The committee included several political figures, God bless them, such as Al-Hashmi Hadris, the Makizar professional Majid Khaldoun, and many others who heeded this file.
اللي تكفل بهذا الموضوع موضوع الأرشيف.
Among the most sensitive files remain Harki's card that stirred a lot of controversy either in the Algerian or the French political scene.
ففي جزء من أرشيف نقل.
Some archives that have been transferred to the Defense Ministry concern Al-Harki's file, while others include the FLN documents. It is necessary to review these files and reconsider them back. So our political party will shoulder the responsibility by creating another committee to watch out pending archive files.
The FLN party will review all archives that concern the National Liberation Front. FLN Secretary General Ammar Saidani stated that archives will be run by historians and political analysts as well as university students who will provide a better support.
It has recently been proved that the Algerian young generation seems to be entirely detached from the political scene. According to a social investigation carried out from sociologists and new network professionals, the Algerian youth are vowing to keep away from politics due to the lack of transparency. Siam Sado again.
A recent research has revealed that the Algerian young generation seems to be completely disconnected from the political scene. According to social investigation conducted from sociologists and network professionals, more than 70% of the Algerian youth were classified wholly distant from politics. We tried to provide some answers on the ground, interviewing these youngsters about the real reasons from keeping away from the political scene. Is it because of ignorance, fear, or maybe because of disappointing past political experiences?
Algerian youngsters don't trust our current political leaders, and I think for their part they did not give them the opportunity to know them in positive situations. They frightened them with their policy. I prefer to concentrate on my lessons rather than getting involved in our politics. It is none of my business.
Many people consider the political speech conducted by political figures trivial and making no sense. The youngsters define it as being wooden language.
Mais j'ai l'impression que les jeunes ne s'intéressent plus tellement à la politique.
I feel that youngsters aren't interested in politics and do not have any political culture. In the past, however, we were much more interested in politics.
On était beaucoup plus politisés, nous.
For their part, political figures say that the youth is not interested in politics due to the lack of responsibility of some political leaders who do not sensitize the society.
The youth have withdrawn from the political arena for several reasons, mostly by political authorities who did everything to exclude this kind of category.
The young generation has to be aware of their country's policy. But for this to happen, transparency must appear in all circumstances, notably during elections in order to gain back their trust.
To another national news, informal transport, or as it is known for Algerians as clandestine, became a disturbing phenomenon which the Algerian government could not get rid of since independence, at a time when the relevant authorities are completely absent. And now we move on to world news. The United Nations will tomorrow, Friday, name a new date for Syrian peace talks to recommence the Syria peace talks. The UN's Syria Special Envoy Staffan de Mistura has said as plans for a ceasefire due to come into force at the weekend began to take shape. De Mistura was forced to abandon the first round of talks on the 3rd of February, saying more preparatory work was needed from the International Syria Support Group led by the US and Russia. A candidate for the USA presidential election who is leading the Republican Party attracts attention, laugh and even scoff from the media all around the world. His typical personality, his unexpected actions, his huge fortune and more made him one of the most famous characters nowadays. Who is Donald Trump? Let's find out more with Fatma Mhanni.
An American businessman, politician and television personality, Donald Trump's career, branding efforts, personal life, wealth and outspoken manner have made him famous. When the eccentric character announced his candidacy for the White House, most people laughed. Less than a month into his announcement, he has delivered enough of comedy materials that last talk shows and comedy clubs for years. But if you take a closer look at what he is doing in the campaign so far, he is actually doing something quite remarkable. As much as people want to dismiss him, the Donald is actually polling first nationally as well as in some key primary states. He is demonstrating to us the best and the worst qualities of leadership at the same time. Pros. Number 1. Trump has a confident and powerful personality that, like it or not, tend to work well in politics and make it far less likely he would become too strongly beholden to this or that external influencer. Number 2. Trump is undeniably a great negotiator. He has mastered the fine art of navigating complex deals and convincing a wide variety of governments, industries, businesses, and investors to do what he wants and to work with him to achieve his goals. Number 3. Trump definitely supports free enterprise and favors less regulation of the market, so those who favor more libertarian economic policies might find Trump's views on these matters to be highly positive. Cons. Number 1. Despite being well educated on finance, Trump often seems extremely prone to embrace uninformed positions that turn into major embarrassments for him. Number 2. He is a fascist. He has repeatedly made comments that many people felt had racial undertones. For instance, his openness to registering all Muslims, his consideration of closing the border to all Muslims, and several other questionable positions echo the sound of historical fascists. Number 3. Trump has been repeatedly accused of being untrustworthy by investors and buyers as well as others, and some of the accusations include allegations of fraud. Number 4. He's abrasive. Trump doesn't care about being liked. Trump seems impulsive and more interested in self-promotion than necessarily accomplishing significant goals. Number 5. Trump's financial behavior has not always been successful, and in fact, he's been through bankruptcy and openly admits manipulating bankruptcy laws to enrich himself at the expense of society and other people, so that he protects himself from risk by getting governments and banks to shoulder more of the burden and let him off the hook more cheaply.
We need people that know what they're doing. We don't need babies.
Are you refusing to obey my order?
Yeah. By the way, I think you could say that, yeah.
Ollie, bring me my sword.
They laugh at us. Our enemies laugh at us. But they say waterboarding and they chop off heads. They think we are so stupid. You have no idea.
Much liked my head. I don't want to see it removed just yet.
I would bring back waterboarding, and I'd bring back a hell of a lot worse than waterboarding.
To world sports news, it's been a controversial last 12 months for FIFA, with a host of arrests and bribery scandals shaking football's world governing body to its core. We take a look at the 5 candidates looking to run the organization around if voted in as president in Friday's election with Mustafa Azzouk.
Gianni Infantino and Sheikh Salman bin Ibrahim Al Khalifa easily lead the race to become FIFA president. But an AFP poll of world football's members highlighted complex political maneuvering and uncertainty surrounding Friday's vote. AFP contacted the 209 national associations in football's troubled world body to ask which of the 5 candidates they would back to replace Sepp Blatter. Some gave an answer and changed their mind. Some said they are not certain to vote. Kuwait and Indonesia will almost certainly not vote, as they are suspended by FIFA. 77% of federations replied to the survey, providing a glimpse of voting intentions. 68 federations declared allegiance to Infantino, who only joined the race after his suspended UEFA boss Michel Platini was forced to pull out, and 28 sided with Sheikh Salman Al Khalifa, president of the Asian Football Confederation. The apparent gap in support between the 2 candidates should be treated with caution. European associations instructed to back Infantino by UEFA were more ready to reply than those in Asia and Africa, who have come out in favor of the Bahrain Sheikh.
And finally, according to Minister of Culture Azzeddine Mihoubi, the Opera of Algiers will open before the month of Ramadan with the completion of exterior works. The training of the Algerian technicians is ongoing following the official signing ceremony of the project of the Opera of Algiers at the Culture Palace with Chinese ambassador in Algiers, Yang Guanyu. Mihoubi said that this infrastructure is completed in its technical and artistic aspects. The minister insisted that facility reflects the long-standing friendship between Algeria and China, and it will value the diversity of the Algerian culture and heritage, notably the symphony orchestra and the national ballet. And before we wrap up, let's have a reminder of our main top stories. Foreign Minister Ramtane Lamamra held further talks with Iraqi counterpart Al-Ashaiqer Al-Jaafari on finding ways to rebalance oil prices. The Algerian-European cooperation deal on exchanging merchandise is back to the economic scene. And we have taken a look at the 5 candidates looking to turn FIFA around in Friday's election. The end of our English news edition. For more news, visit our website and other social media networks. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.